What a pleasure to catch up CJ Uzomah. What a weekend of football for CJ Uzomah. Auburn, Alabama on Saturday. Bengals, Steelers on Sunday. Whew. Doesn't get any better than that. CJ Uzomah has a lot to say about this football team, the way they've rebounded after the bye week and two straight losses to get back on track against the Raiders, how it's going to carry over against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and hopefully stay on course 1 week at a time to get the best possible seed they can get to make the playoffs. CJ Uzomah, great football player, even better human being. The clock is ticking. Time is running out. First Star Logistics wants to take care of all of our followers of Dave Lapham in the Trenches with sweepstakes prizes. And they're awesome. About $3,000 right around the holidays, huh? Santa Claus, take care of a lot of people with $3,000. How about an iPhone 13? Nice prize right there. This is state-of-the-art iPhone 13. No doubt about that. How about an autographed football, an autographed Lapham jersey? Oh, boy, collector's item right there, huh? Yeah, I hear you. And 2 tickets to a Bengals home game as the Bengals make that playoff push. Nothing better than being there at Paul Brown Stadium. And then finally, dinner for 2 at Ruby's. I'm going to bring my lovely wife, Lynn. You can bring your significant other, whoever that may be, and we'll all dine around the holiday season. So, come one, come all. Check out down below how you can participate. All the information is right there for you. Don't waste any more time because tick, tick, tick. Time's running out. My distinct pleasure to welcome to In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, Bengals tight end CJ Uzomah, who is the voice of reason. If you want to find out what's really going on with the Cincinnati Bengals, you go to CJ Uzomah in the Bengals locker room. Welcome, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
So, this football team had that little 2-game skid, goes on the bye week. And by the way, what'd you do during the bye week?
I went back home to Nashville for a little bit just to get away from football. And even though I didn't really get away from football, I watched football the entire time I was gone. But
Right.
I went to Nashville for a little bit. It was good to see some friends and just kind of hang out.
That's awesome. So you get your mind and your body right, and the whole team did, and come back. And my understanding is the week of practice before the Raiders game was like razor sharp, laser focus. Was it like that?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. A lot of people talk about having the bye week hangover, right? You get some time off, you get to relax and unwind a little bit, and people come back and their bodies feel great, but mentally they've been out of it for a little bit, and they come back and they're a little sluggish and they're not on point with things. And that wasn't the case. We came back and we had a little Monday practice, and I think that kind of helped for sure. Not having a walkthrough on Monday, but actually getting some full speed reps and getting people's bodies back. I think that was really good for us. And the timing on Monday, I was like, wow, this is somewhat honestly unexpected how sharp we looked on a Monday after having 4 or 5 days off. So I think that definitely helped. And then just the week of practice after that, we were clicking really well.
It seems like that, and the way you guys travel and how professional the team is when it travels, maturity. It's a young football team in terms of age of roster, but it has not an old soul as such, but I mean, it has a lot of maturity to it, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it's fun because, I talk about having a lot of fun and a good time, and the culture of the locker room and how we can just mess with each other. I got a lot of little brothers on the team. But when it comes down to business, there's a switch, and there really is, you can tell, you can tell when it's time to be serious, when it's time to, go on a business trip and get a win, and when it's time to kind of hang out and have fun and mess with one another. So it's fun to see, the culture and the things that Coach Taylor and the staff have implemented, come to fruition right now, because like you said, when we hit the road, it's a different mentality that we've been having.
So what's the biggest takeaway that you take out of that victory against the Raiders, what comes to mind? What's the biggest, like, wow, that's pretty good?
Our defense played, an absolute incredible game, right? I think really what was huge was them holding our defense holding their offense to a field goal after we had that turnover. I think that's something that's pivotal and not only just the game as a whole, but we hold them to 3 points, and that helps us as an offense, right? We're like, okay, nice. Like our defense has our back. They were in first and goal, and we gave them favorable field position. Our defense just they dug their heels in and said no.
Yep.
And so, to be honest, I think that as an offense, did we score and put points on the board every drive in the second half? Yes, but that our defense play an absolute just incredible game, from start to finish? Yes, 100%. And so I think that to me was the biggest takeaway was, man, our defense has our backs, and there's gonna be give and take, right? There's gonna be certain games where the offense is gonna have to strap their pants in and score touchdowns more so than have Evan kick 350+ yard field goals. But on this game, that really stood out in my mind was how well and how collective our defense played.
You look at that point you made, scoring on every drive in the second half. That's the second time you've done it this year. You did it in the Jacksonville game as well, and needed it in that football game, obviously, to score every single possession, in a half is a darn good accomplishment. And to me, the biggest factor in that was the running game was spotty in the first half, but boy, nobody abandoned it. And 19 carries for 104 yards by Joe Mixon in the second half alone. That's numbers for a game. I mean, you guys said, "Hey, we're gonna get after them," and I'm telling you, I watched tape of it and watched you guys on the perimeter. You and Sample, the wide receivers, the way you guys were running that gap stuff and getting Joe to the perimeter. I mean, it was very, very physical. It was impressive to watch you guys.
Yeah, and so that's why I'm saying it's as crazy as it's for me. I mean, being an offensive player, I want to give props to the offense the entire time, anytime I can. And so, yeah, I think it was. To me, watching the film, I watched. We had a long flight back, right? So it was like 3.5 hours, something like that. And I watched the game immediately afterwards, just kind of replaying some stuff, watched the movie in between, and then watched the game again. So I watched it twice on the plane ride, and yeah, offensively, it was we knew what our game plan was. We knew, kind of going in what the coaches wanted of us, and kind of how to attack their defense, and really just pound the ball, wear them out as much as we could in the first half. And so that's the second half we could have the productivity that we did.
Yeah.
But like you said, you watch across the board, and it was first of all, the line played really, really well. They did, and especially in the run game, moving guys. You see the last touchdown that Joe had. It was Q and Jonah on the edge. They moved they had a double team to the linebacker, and they moved them 6-7 yards down the field,
right.
And so had an unbelievable lane to cut back, make one miss, and score. So, yeah, you think about things like that, and you see the receivers blocking on the perimeter. You see Drew and I, trying to get the edge and have Riley and Jonah for a double team when we need it, and Isaiah coming in and doing what he did, and it was impressive to me. It was awesome to be able to watch us execute so well in the run game later on down the stretch, when we knew it was going to be tough. We knew that the first half they were going to present some things, and they were going to stand stout, but as long as we kept going with it, then we'd be able to make hay in the second half, and that's what we were able to do.
I remember one play vividly where you're working with Riley Reef, and you give him a good hit and a good push, and he landed on his head, man. You treated him real bad. He literally landed on his head, but started to almost do it like a forward roll type thing. You guys handled him. That was a physical football game. Is that a good? You guys put on the big boy pads in that game and really get after him. Is a game like that good to have before the Pittsburgh Steelers? Because with that rivalry, that one is all about physicality, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I think going into the Pittsburgh game, that's something that's huge. I think really just coming off the bye, that was huge. I think that kind of sets the tone for the rest of this half of the season.
Yeah.
Because we know not only just Pittsburgh, but other games to come. they're gonna be similar games. And so I think putting that foot forward and saying, hey, this is how we're gonna possibly attack. I'm not sure the game plan for this week and the weeks to come, but this is how we're possibly going to be able to attack teams. That's good. That's putting a good foot forward and saying, hey, look, like you might have us in the first half a little bit. We might falter a little bit, but we're not gonna deviate from the plan. And yeah, I think that's huge for us as an offense, just going forward in general. I think
your productivity has been awesome. I mean, 27 catches, 5 touchdowns. I mean, that ratio is, that's efficiency, big time. What is it about you and Joe Burrow? You seem to have that kind of unspoken word type connection. Is it building on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think so. I think the thing with Joe is we have certain plays, we have certain routes, we have certain installs, from a week to week basis that, he's like, hey, instead of doing this in this situation or against this coverage, or when we're in the red zone, if we're running this play, run it this way and you'll be open, or run it this way, or just find the zone, find the soft spot, do this. And so it's just more freedom. I think it's more freedom for everybody. We don't have to be robots out there. We don't have to, run if it's a 20-yard route, so to speak, you don't have to run it 20 yards. You can run it at 16 and round it a little bit and find that zone, find the soft spot. He's going to get it to you because he also recognizes what you're seeing as a receiver running down the field, or as a running back, or whatever the case is. So I think that definitely helps. And I think, just asking him questions during the week, like, hey, I just ran this route this way against our scout team defense, and I kind of want to do it this way. Is that cool? Yeah, sure. Run it that way. That's fine. And we see it on film, and he's like, all right, that's perfect. Or he sees it on film, and he's like, they're not going to probably play it that way, so run it the initial way that we talked about. And I think things like that, just the communication, the open dialogue is huge. And me being able just to go up to him and be like, hey, I'm going to do this. Is that cool? And him saying yes, and not being like, no, we have to run it this certain way. That's huge for us, right? Like, not just me, but for the entire offense, just to have some freedom to be a little more creative out there. And I think that's huge. It's been like that for a while now. And I think, just that constant talking, that constant communication, that constant just back and forth is helping not only myself, but us as an offense.
I guess an example of the people will probably remember the jailbreak screen, the famous jailbreak screen in the Jacksonville game that you and Joe were on the same page and executed it and led to the game-winning field goal. Take us through what went on when you broke the huddle, as to what happened pre-snap, as to what happened post-snap. Take us through the whole thing and what was going on between you two guys.
Yeah, I mean, so he knew in certain situations that they were going to be, right, just film study. Again, he's the smartest guy on the field when we're out there. And yeah, I misspoke earlier because like way earlier in the year, I had not gotten that rep of a tight end running that screen, but coach actually pulled up I think it was like OTAs, like week 1 of Drew doing it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that actually happened? Are you serious? And he was like, yeah, I didn't know it either. And so yeah, it was just, we broke the huddle and we had a certain play on, and he saw the coverage, and it was the right call for that coverage. I had just not seen that in a practice rep. I'm pretty sure that was a walkthrough rep that Drew had too. So yeah, it was just, hey, this is what it is. We all know the signals. We all echoed the signals to one another. TB looked at me, gave me the signal, and I was like, oh yeah, that's coming to me right now. That's perfect. And yeah, it's just the trust that he has in all of us to go out and execute and do what needs to be done. And yeah, I was still just like, really? We're doing this right now? All right, cool. Nice, solid.
That's great. Yeah, and that's the famous line, you can't zero me.
Yeah,
you can't
exactly.
zero coverage me.
Yeah.
You can't be that aggressive. I'm going to burn you. That's classic.
Yeah.
So the offense as a whole, you've got skill players galore. Receiver group, a lot of depth, tight end, running back. You look at it, this offense could be, the sky's the limit, right? Honestly, on a week-to-week basis, it could be anybody's featured, but there's always other options.
Yeah. And I think that's that's the beautiful thing about this offense right now, and what we have in our offensive room. Because if you wanna maybe cloud or try to double Jamar or TB, then all right, nice. Well, you still gotta account for T. You still gotta account for me. You still gotta account for the running back out of the backfield, and Chris Evans, who's been running routes really well and being productive in the pass game, and the backs coming out of Samaje on third down has been huge for us, and obviously you still got to account for the run with Joe, so
Right.
and him coming out of the backfield making plays. So it's fun. It is fun to go in and when we have our Wednesday meetings of what we're going to do on base downs, or kind of when we talk about it a little bit on Monday, kind of and when we go against certain teams, we kind of know what players are going to be up for the most part, even just going into it, with what style of defense they play. But it's fun to see, like, all right, nice. Like, what play is coming to this person, or what play is coming to this person, or what play do they think is going to this person, but now is going to this person, and we just go back and forth, and sometimes we'll be in that offensive meeting and the skill position meeting, and they'll say something, and maybe it's going to Drew, or maybe it's going to TB or something, and you just see like everyone like, oh, okay, show me something. Like everyone's hyping each other up, and it's fun, right? Like it's
Right.
also be like, oh, nice, like this is this person's time to shine for this play, and they're not going to be expecting it. And if they are expecting it, then we got somebody else that they're not going to be expecting, or they might be expecting it and they just can't stop it. So it really is. It's very entertaining for me in practice to see what the possibilities are, and then for us to go out in the game and execute it. It's just like, oh wow, perfect. Like that's just how we drew it up.
I guess the proof in the pudding is when defensive coordinators kind of change their thought process. Like Don Wink Martindale, instead of blitzing 60% of the time, really backs off from the blitz, or Gus Bradley, cover threes. I'm gonna run some other stuff. I'm not gonna give these guys a pattern that they can just pick me apart. I mean, I think when you have coordinators making changes, then what was anticipated is a huge compliment to what you guys might be able to do to them.
Oh, 100%. I mean, yeah, like you said, we're really expecting, the cover three for a majority of the game, and seeing a change up, we were like, okay, hold on. Like
Right.
that's a huge, compliment for us as a team and as an offense. We're like, oh wow, like they know that we're going to be able to pick certain things apart with our scheme and our plays. And
Yep.
we're looking at each other, and even the touchdown to Jamar, we're like, well, you can change it if you want to, but we've got something for you just in case you do. So again, that's things that we talk about throughout the week that we're like, all right, nice. Like we still have our answers, but we're gonna see if we can't attack what they normally do.
Yeah. No question about it. I mean, it's good to have all that volume of things you can go to, and everything that goes along with that. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they're historically a style of defense that you guys know very, very well. Physical, no question about it. Whether Watt plays or doesn't play, I mean, there's still a lot of great players in that defensive football team. What do you remember most about the 24-10 victory that you had in Pittsburgh earlier this season?
Game wise or just team wise? Like,
any of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
I mean, team wise,
for you and for the team.
Team wise, for me, it was how prepared we were, and how honestly how juiced we were for that game. It was, and everyone always says, it's just the next game. It's this game we're treating just like another game, and things like that. And it's, as a player, you say it, right? So we say it to the media, like, this is just another game, but it's not. It really isn't.
Yeah.
And we all know that. Anytime we play somebody in our division, it's not just another game. It's huge, and especially when you're playing the Steelers, it's not another game. We treat it differently, just like they treat it differently, just like the Browns. We all treat that different. Mm-hmm. And so, going out in practice and seeing how much we wanted it, and how, like, we were flying around in practice. Special teams, offense, defense, we were on it, and we held each other accountable. So if we had a play I remember there was a run play we had, and we were a little off kilter, and we were a little unsure, and we were like, no, all right, let's do it again. Like, as players, we took it on ourselves to say, no, we're going to get this right. We're going to make sure that we're in the right look and that we're doing the right thing for this look. And I think that, again, like you were talking about and we alluded to earlier, that's just the maturity of this team. And to have that and to go into Pittsburgh and win with that team and with the maturity and with the preparation that we had, that's something that I was like, I mean, I walked into that game and I was like, all right, this is different. This is a different feel. This is a different team. We're coming out of here with a win. And that's how we all felt. And that's not to say that we don't feel that like that for every game or it hasn't been that in the past, but there was something different, when we pulled up, that I was like, this is for sure a new team that we've got right now, and they're gonna have to play to our level and our energy and our intensity.
So the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive football team, Mike Tomlin is the defensive oriented head coach. Keith Butler, the defensive coordinator, they've been together in Pittsburgh for quite a while. That side of the football, that defensive side of the football, is it scheme? Is it talent of players? Is it a combination? What is it that makes the Pittsburgh Steelers defense so consistently good?
Yeah, I think it's both. I think it's scheme and the players that they have. I mean, they have really good players, right? I mean, I've watched Cam Hayward for a while. We grew up. He's older than I am, but he went to my rival high school, and so I got to watch him even as a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his family and I were pretty close, and his younger brother. So yeah, the players that they have definitely helps, right? I mean, they have really good players on that side of the ball, offensively as well, but just talking defensively and the scheme that they play, they complement each other really well, and they have, they've got great chemistry on that side of the ball too, and they've had it for years. And so I think that, just the combination of those two things, people that have been in the system for a while and understand it, and when new people come in, they kind of adapt and adapt to that style of play, and I think that really is why they've been so successful for so long as a team and as a defense, and have had the production that they've had.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think over the years, it's amazing how they'll find a linebacker that is a perfect fit for what they do schematically.
Right.
They marry and match up their scheme and their players' talents so darn well, man. It's
Right.
just, I do admire them for that. I don't know about admire. I can't say I admire the Steelers about much of anything, but I guess
I respect them. I respect them for that.
That's a better word. Admire is not good. Respect. I agree with that. Yeah. So, this game this week, like you mentioned, it's division rival, and as you look at it down the stretch of the season, I know you want to go, 1-0 every game the rest of the season, individual basis like that. But Baltimore plays Cleveland, Cincinnati plays Pittsburgh. It starts to not unfold totally, but start to, position, jockey for position a little bit, and make life a little bit easier. If you win this football game, you're still in total control of your own destiny. If you don't now, it might be, oh, geez, I have to rely on somebody else, whatever. This weekend's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of what we stressed as a team going into the bye and coming out of the bye was, hey, we have, and you'll hear everyone say this, we're not where we wanted to be as a team. Everyone wants to go 17-0, but we have everything that we want in front of us. And us coming out and putting our best foot forward against the Raiders and being in the position that we're in, we know that we are in control of everything that we want to be in control of. And so that's another, I mean, every game from here on out, and every game from the start of the season obviously was, but every game from here on out is the most important game that we're going to play. So that win against the Raiders means nothing if we don't beat Pittsburgh at home and control our own destiny from here on out. And that, that trend will carry on for the rest of the season. But this one is a big one, like you said, and it makes it that much, it puts that much more emphasis, I guess, on this game that, it's a tight race right now. And we know that we have to come out and, beating them is one thing, but, setting the tone and kind of the way and fashion in which we win is another thing completely, right? So Yeah, that's something that we've been thinking about. That's something that as a team, we get that win, and it's a long plane ride back, and we're watching this film still, and people are like, why are you. So one of my guys was like, why are you watching film? You just played the game. You watched it twice, and I was like, yeah, I'm trying to make sure that everything that I do is putting my best foot forward, so that as an offense we can succeed. And we know that we have a tough one coming up this week. So yeah, it's definitely a big game, and I think we're all looking forward to it. And you can tell there's something different. There's something different about the way that we're carrying ourselves and the way that we're preparing and treating each week.
Right. It seems like almost all the league is 5-6 wins. I mean,
Yeah.
there's it's all bunched together. There's no question. Parity is reigning supreme. That's what the NFL wants, and they're getting closer and closer to every team going 8-8, and tiebreak is determining playoffs, and everybody's fan base is going crazy. I mean, that's what they'd like to have it. But when you look at it this year, CJ, to me, it's the craziest year of a division leader losing to a team that's maybe only won a couple of games, and not just losing, but losing by like 2 or 3 scores. It's like it's such a crazy swing almost from week to week. What do you attribute that to?
Man, I wish I could tell you that one. I don't 100% know. I think to me that's the beauty about the NFL. That any given Sunday. That's the old saying, right? And you really do have to, you have to be, for lack of better words, you got to be on your shit week in and week out, because if not, like you said, it's and that too. I always see on media and stuff. Oh, so and so is such a bad player. So and so such this and that. I'm like, you do realize he's still in the NFL. He is still getting paid because he is the best at what he does for 32 teams, for out of the 32 teams. And so yeah, like you said, this weekend there were a few games that I was watching and I was like, oh man, like, this is getting interesting. And that as a player, you're like, okay, nice. Like that's one, you're seeing some of these teams and you're like, all right, good. Like this, we needed them to lose, or we needed certain situations to happen as we're controlling our own destiny.
Right.
But then you're also looking and you're like, this is why you have to prepare every game like it is the most important game, because you can't again, like Steelers people in your division, it's a little different, obviously, but you play the Steelers, then you play someone who's not the Steelers, who's like you said, only won a couple games, and you go out there and you're mentally you're not as prepared as you should be. Then you're going to come out and after the first quarter, you're like, wait, hold on, we're down how much? Like, wait, this isn't supposed to happen. But it's gonna happen if you don't prepare accordingly. So yeah, I think it's certainly a wake up call, and it's been fun to be a spectator as well as a player in this league right now with how the season's unfolding.
Final question, and appreciate you carving the time that you carved on basically a day off. They're precious, and for you to give us some of this time today is well appreciated, sir.
Of course.
When you're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, give me a couple of truisms that we have to do this, we have to do that to be competitive in this football game. Are there a couple of things that no matter what, these are things we're going to have to lean on to win this football game?
Right. Yeah. I think starting fast is something that we're going to harp on, and we always harp on. Yeah, and like I said, you can't come out of the first quarter thinking, oh man, we're down what? Like, wait, hold on, we just kicked ourselves in the foot how many times? Or we've had this many penalties doing what? And so I think starting fast encompasses a lot of things. It encompasses no turnovers, no penalties, no self-inflicting wounds, no big plays defensively, controlling the field position on special teams. I think it's as a team coming out hot is something that's huge. And I think the other main thing is weathering the storm that will happen, because it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a 4-quarter, grind against a good team, and they know us and we know them. And I think when a big play happens, right, then we have to know that it's going to happen and that we have to just come back and respond, whether or not it's on offense, defense, special teams, whatever the case is. We have to be able to respond accordingly and not hit that panic button, not go crazy and have to reinvent things and take early shots and all this other random things that these things that happen. We have to stick to the game plan, and we have to stick and stay together. And that's one thing that I can say I haven't felt with this team is a sense of frantic panic and oh, we got to do this, we got to do that. Like the sky's falling right now.
Right.
When things happen, I think the way that we've been able to stick together is something that is really unique as well. You don't see guys saying, "Hey, come on," like just yelling at one another. It's like, "Hey, come on, no, we got this." Like one drive, one play at a time, one drive at a time, one touchdown at a time. Offensively, defensively, like, hey, one drive at a time, one stop at a time. Let's get a 3-and-out. Let's get the offense back the ball. Let's get a big play on special teams with the punt return, and put the offense in favorable field position, and let's just get this thing going. And it's great to me to see after we score, after we put points on the board, the first person I see almost every single time is BJ and Jesse Bates, and they're on the field and they're high-fiving everybody like, "Hey, we got you the ball back. We're gonna get it back to you." I see Josh, I see Trey and Sam. I see the defense, and they're like, "Hey, we got you. Good job. We're gonna get you the ball back. You're gonna score again." And I think that's huge. I think that's something that you need to make sure you maintain when you're playing, the Steelers or a divisional opponent.
And I lied. I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna things that came to mind while you were just talking. The one thing you talked about is no turnovers, no penalties. You guys, and this has to have been harped on. 40 penalties, best in the National Football League, fewest inflicted by a team in the National Football League by far. The next best, Los Angeles Rams with 48. They're the only other team under 50. The NFL average is like 62, and you guys have 40 for 343 yards. By far the fewest penalty yards in the National Football League. The next best, Seattle with 429, and you guys are at 343. So you're playing so smart, so intelligently, not self-destructing. Is it something that's harped on, or is it just something that you guys have a natural affinity for?
Yeah, I think it was harped on for sure, like going through camp and going through OTAs and things like that. But I think it's just people knowing what they have to do and putting themselves in the position to do so. Again, it's tough for me to 100% know what's being said and harped on defensively, but as an offense, being in the meetings and knowing what the offensive line and the receivers and being able to be in both of those all of the meetings really because of the run game and the pass game and things like that. I think just everyone knows what needs to be done and knows who they're going against. The detail that's put into the players that we're going against and what their favorite moves are and what they like to do and the stunts and the stims and the pressures and certain packages that they do. I think because we all know how each player plays, that we're able to put ourselves in the best position to block or to not have false starts or to not have OPIs, things like that we're like, all right, nice, like we know exactly what needs to be done and we're going to go out and do it. So it's something that we're priding ourselves on for sure. We're hanging our hat on that because like you said, there's 80 yards between us and the next team, and that's dang near a touchdown, right? So that's putting ourselves in good field position, or the defense, helping us out and giving us good field position, and special teams as well. Special teams, it's a killer. On special teams, if you get a penalty on a kickoff return or a punt return, I mean, that absolutely it's somewhat demoralizing. Like, oh man, we got to go X amount of yards now as opposed to what we thought initially we were going to get. So I know Darren definitely harps on that, but it's been good. It's been good for us as a team and we talked about that after the game. Hey, we need to make sure this trend continues moving forward.
It's amazing. The pre-snap penalties, there's no, false starts, jumping early like you're talking about, and those drive you crazy. But then even like the deals where, hand placement was terrible, and, those are minimal as well. You guys are just playing so smart football-wise. It's a sight to behold, really. One penalty for 5 yards in this last football game, and that one was dubious. That was questionable. It should have gone the other way, actually. Shouldn't have been, penalizing the Bengals. It would have been a perfect game. They had 7 for 77. They were crucial. They kept drives alive for you guys. It was huge in that football game, and that's going to be a factor in this one. I always called it controlled rage. Like you said, get all juiced up, but not where you lose your mind and you have all these stupid penalties and all that sort of thing. And you guys are doing that so darn well. This is the final question, I promise for sure. Big rivalry week, Bengals, Steelers. You were a quarterback at Auburn, Bama. Give me your memories. What's happening in Auburn, Bama? Give me a little rundown. Let us have it, CJ.
What's going to happen, or
just a CJ special on the whole deal, man. What comes to mind when I say Auburn, Alabama?
I mean, the greatest college football rivalry to ever grace us. Yeah, the main thing that comes to mind is just it's another one of those any given Saturday, Sunday things. I think rivalries really hold up to that, because it doesn't matter what the record is. It doesn't matter who's ranked what. Really, at this point, it's that controlled hatred and anger and rage towards another team and towards your opponent, and how can you constructively get after them. I remember every time I played Bama, it was just, all right, how hard can you push yourself? I on one of them, I couldn't lift my arm. I had a pinched nerve when we played in my junior year, and I couldn't really lift my arm. And I was like, I'm going out there anyway. I was blocking with one arm. My coach, Gus Malzahn, did not know that I was hurt. And he was yelling at me like, why are you blocking with? I'm like, Coach, I can't lift my arm right now. But it's just giving it your all, like, and then some. You think that you, Coach Casey always says, it's his job is to push us to our absolute limit as a player. And it is funny. He always brings up all right, raise your hand how high, like as high as you can. And I raise it a little bit higher. And he's like, I want to make sure that when you're playing, you're raising it a little bit higher every time. And I think that's what happens when you have a rivalry game, like us against the Steelers, and like Auburn against that other team down the street. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that one before our game.
Yeah, what a weekend of football for CJ Uzomah. There's no question about that. I knew this was going to be a lot of fun. I knew this was going to be informative, and it's been all of the above. You're a sheer delight. Appreciate your time, sir.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
At First Star Logistics, we're a very strict company that really puts the pressure on our employees. Breaks? What are those?
That's what I'm talking about, Icky. Get the body right, then the mind's right.
Gotta get that body right.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Become a star with a chance to earn the highest commission percentages in the industry as a freight broker agent. Check out firststarlogistics.com.